you literally disappeared for a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Emily Jones, Miss Jones, is back.
I've had a few videos recently that have gone quite viral.
It was quite viral.
I mean, a few videos hitting like 1 to 2 million views kind of thing. So we're not talking...
That's not quite
viral. Your cellulite is disgusting. Your stretch marks are horrible. And that there's like loads of men out there who are like, hang on a minute. Whoever said that I didn't like that? Yeah, I'm confident as a big girl. Why shouldn't I be? Kind of thing. You know, it's just, I think people just think you're being arrogant and...
Welcome to a She Word interview special. And I'm with Instagram queen Emily Jones. In brief, Maltese and English Emily Jones, aka Miss Jones, shot to fame in 2021 as a top 1% creator of OnlyFans with 281,000 Instagram followers. But her story is moving, inspirational, and very, very surprising. Miss Jones, to this day, the episode of the interview that I filmed with you way back 2 years ago has been the interview that I'm probably most proud of.
Oh,
I know, you're so cute.
well, that's lovely.
I've watched it a good number of times, and it instantly took this little podcast show that I was doing over COVID, and it really accelerated the show because that interview was profound. It really affected me because first of all, I met you, instantly got on with you.
Yes.
You've got this great smile, but you really took you really took me back is a better way of putting it, because there you were, you've got this 281,000 Instagram followers. You are in the top 1% of OnlyFans. You are talking about what you're doing, but you shared your backstory, which was not what I was expecting at all, which is incredibly moving, incredibly inspirational, and just really, really unexpected. So I followed you. We put the show out. I kept in touch a little bit.
Yes.
And then to follow the story, you had mentioned in the interview that apart from the fact that you had been affected by inflammatory arthritis and fibromyalgia, you also were affected by the fact that your mum got poorly, and which brought you back to Malta along with everything else. And you had to leave your fantastic city job in London due to illness, and then you came back to Malta to look after your mum. Then I saw a post that was your dedication to your mum. And after that, you literally disappeared for a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
And as somebody who had really been very touched by your story, I was very, very worried. And I messaged you a couple of times and I thought to myself, no, you knew that Emily was dealing with some stuff. And then, months went on, and then magically up pops this post on my feed of this bright smile in a blue bikini in a different part of the world.
Yes.
Looking amazing. And suddenly, Emily Jones, Miss Jones, is back. So I contacted you. I said, how are you doing? And you very kindly said, yeah, I'm okay. And I said, okay, I need to speak to you. I need to talk to you and I'm going to really suggest to anybody in conjunction with this and the last She Word of season 3, go and see this interview. It's on the interview. It's the same channel on YouTube because it really is very, 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 very moving. So I asked you if I could address what had happened, how you came to disappear, what you're doing now, what motivates you, and you're back.
Yes.
So it's kind of over to you.
Wow.
Emily, what's your story? What happened?
Well, quite an introduction. You're quite well known for those legendary introductions, I think. Thank you. I think you teed things up pretty well. But yes, I had a little bit of time off. As you mentioned, you saw my last post was where my mum had passed away, and we kind of closed that chapter that was quite a significant chapter, dealing with her cancer diagnosis and the progression of the illness and that whole story, which my followers were there for throughout the whole way, you know, the ups and downs of it. And so the chapter closed and Mum passed away. Obviously, we were somewhat expecting it, but, you know, it still kind of hit like a ton of bricks. And after my mum passed away, I was sort of just taking a bit of time to process that. And then very shortly after that, 6 weeks to be precise, my dad also passed away. Suddenly,
I'm so
unexpectedly. And it was, I mean, you know, it was almost just something that you couldn't write it. It was just such a shock. And I knew that he was struggling not having her around, and he'd really been such a great partner to her and taken such good care of her. So it was just almost as if she had passed, and almost as if he just couldn't bear to be without her. He'd been a lot like that throughout her lifetime, ever since, you know, they met, really. It was always like a bit of an ongoing joke that he couldn't kind of leave her alone for 5 minutes. They were just joined at the hip. So it was almost like I think he just felt that he wasn't whole without her. And I mean, I don't really know what to say other than I think it's true that you can die of a broken heart.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what happened, basically.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. It was it's been a very difficult thing to come to terms with. I would say that there's still a lot that I feel I haven't come to terms with about the situation. It's very strange being back in Malta, which is a place that I grew up and that I always associated as being home, where my parents were, you know, that kind of feeling. If anybody's lucky enough to have a lovely family like I have, you know, that feeling of sort of getting to the family home and feeling like you can take a good breath out, and that you're with people who understand you and who are there for you. And it's like coming back to Malta, it's that feeling of, it reminds you of all of those things, but that thing isn't there anymore. It's quite a difficult one.
I didn't mean to make you so emotional to bring that up, but
I feel that I'm getting stronger because I can get through kind of, you know, 5-10 sentences without the waterworks. But it's hard, you know. I feel that it's a very emotional story, and I just think it's kind of heartbreaking to think of how he must have been feeling without his Anne. And
you know, the thing is, I mean, we both also have a lot of English heritage, and one of the things that you experience when you're English is that there are things that you don't talk about. And it's one of the reasons that we do the She Word, is because we talk about these things.
Yes.
And I think just acknowledging that and saying that it's a heartbreaking story and giving you permission to grieve over and over and over again is important. You should be emotional.
I think so. And I think, you know, that kind of ties back with why I felt I had to have a bit of time off. I felt, the way I put it, actually, I put this in my story at some point, is that I felt like a snail without its shell. So I just felt kind of very raw, and like I didn't have any kind of protection from the world. I felt that anything could get me at any time. I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly.
I don't think I've ever heard a better description.
It really felt like that. So I would say now that a little bit of time has passed, you know, I've had some bereavement counselling, and, you know, I've been taking a lot of time to do my own reflection and think about things, and taking time to grieve, and also just to kind of I'm lucky that I do work for myself and that I was able to have a bit of time to kind of just say, okay, I can't deal with the real world at the moment and I need to take a step back. And that's kind of what I did. Not to mention the fact that another thing that people don't really talk about is the business of death. When somebody passes away, there's so many things to take care of legally, financially, there's a lot to deal with. And I think those are things that you really don't want to be dealing with. It's the last thing you want to think about, but there's lots of things that need to be sorted out, people that need answering. So it was a lot. So I just felt that I didn't feel that I had a foot to put forward to the world with being on Instagram. A lot of my message has been about living your best life, living your most confident life, regardless of what stage of life you're at. Whether you're going through a difficult situation, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I just felt that I didn't really believe in that anymore for a little bit of time. I think I always knew that it would come back, but I didn't feel that I felt that it would be a bit disingenuous for me to be putting myself out there kind of saying everything's fine, everything's great, I'll get through this kind of thing, when I didn't really feel like that, if I'm being completely honest.
Okay, so let me ask you a question relating to that, to Instagram, because you aren't an Instagrammer with me that has 502 followers. It's a few more than that, but it's really not that much. You're someone who has 281,000 followers.
Yes, yeah.
And also, of course, you have your OnlyFans as well.
Yes.
Of which you are top 1%.
Yes.
What was the net effect of stepping? Because we're always led to believe, and this is the line that we're fed. You cannot step away from social media because you have to keep feeding the beast. Because the minute that you do, you're going to lose your followers. The algorithms will put you right down in the bottom, and that's it. That's your online career over.
Yes.
But you successfully, and this is where I have paramount respect. You successfully said, "I'm not doing that, and I'm stepping away." And even though it was for very, very sad and traumatic reasons, but you haven't lost you, because when you came back on with your blue bikini with that great big smile, you picked up social media, and we'll come to what that moment was that said now is time, but you picked up social media as if you'd never been away. In that, suddenly you've got thousands and thousands of likes and engagement and comments and interaction. And I'm assuming the same was for OnlyFans as well.
Yes, I would say that, I do kind of agree that you have to feed the beast, so to speak, and you do have to kind of keep up with things. I think once you have a somewhat established platform, maybe it's not quite the same situation as if you're trying to grow your page from scratch. But yes, there was definitely a dip in engagement. I felt that initially when I came back and started posting, that my posts I felt that my followers were very happy to see me back. I hope they hadn't forgotten about me, but I'm sure some of them were reminded when they saw me back and said, "Oh yeah, forgot about her." But it did. I do feel that it took a little bit of kind of consistent feeding of the algorithm again to get back into things, and things definitely feel like they changed a lot from when I was posting previously. Mainly, I think with the uptick in video content. So I think that was kind of just starting before my break. And now it's kind of like you just don't post static photos anymore. It's you post reels and that's it. So it was kind of a bit of a different environment. Regardless, even when I wasn't posting, and this is kind of something when I started my page in the first place as well, is that I'm quite an avid consumer of social media. So I really enjoy scrolling and seeing what's going on, what's trending. So I felt that I kind of had a bit of an idea of what to do when I came back. But it all felt a little bit strange, that's for sure.
So you come back onto socials with
Yes.
this new approach, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
fantastic, with a new idea of what you want to achieve. Am I right?
I think so. I think I feel that a lot of things have changed for me in the world since my parents passed away. It does kind of shake you, it does shake you. And anybody who's lost a parent will know that kind of feeling of having a bit of a wobble, feeling that your structure and the ground that you walk on has been shaken, and it will never go back quite to what it was before. It changes you. And I feel that it's changed a lot of my personality. And one thing that I always have tried to kind of strive for is not really thinking too much about what other people think of me. And my dad was such an advocate for that. I mean, really, he was shameless. He would just, he could be so embarrassing sometimes. He just didn't care what anybody thought about him. He was just going to do his thing, do it in style. And he was kind of quite well known for that, I would say. He had his own way of doing things, and he didn't care what anybody had to say about it. So he really brought me up with that kind of mentality. I feel that my mum would always kind of try to temper him down a little bit and say, "Oh, come on, Stanley, you can't say that," or have a bit of diplomacy. But I feel that I've kind of come back a little bit with a bit more of that kind of attitude myself now, that I am what I am, and I'm not too bothered about kind of upsetting people online. And I think before, as much as I was maybe working towards that, maybe it's an age thing, I just kind of feel a bit more like, okay, well, let people say what they want to say.
But hang on a second. Emily, how would you, with this big smile and this beautiful, voluptuous figure of yours and these fantastic, beautiful eyes, how could you ever upset anybody on social media? What have you done to upset
it's
people?
It's a good question, Trudy. But I would say that one thing that I've noticed, that I feel that people are happy to support you as a plus size person. I'll talk about plus size women because that's who I kind of represent. They're happy to support you as long as you know your place, as long as you are, acknowledging the fact that you could do with losing a bit of weight, that you don't look so great, or that you need to do this or need to do that. But as soon as you kind of say, no, I think I'm sexy and fine, and, and I'm out here living life, and why wouldn't I be confident? It just seems, I've noticed that it just seems to rub people up the wrong way a little bit.
Okay, let me ask you, are you noticing it more? Or do you think it's become more prevalent because you've had a time away from social media, so it could have always been there.
I think
but you were kind of more involved in it.
I think it probably has been. I think that with my content, I've had a few videos recently that have gone quite viral.
What's quite viral?
I mean, a few videos hitting like 1 to 2 million views kind of thing. So we're not
Emily,
talking...
That's not quite viral.
We're not talking like 40 million, 50 million views.
No. I consider something that gets 1,000 views quite viral.
Fair
enough. Wow.
So I feel that it's been reaching maybe an audience that it hadn't reached before. And I think people see... I think when people see you being kind of confident with yourself, and as I say, not just talking about how you need to lose weight or how you're depressed about your stretch marks or whatever, I think that they feel they have to take you down a peg or two. And I've definitely noticed that. I mean, it's this. I've noticed that with my comments as well. That people outright say it. Chicks like this need to be taken down a peg or two. It's just, it's quite...
You're serious?
It's quite, I would say it's quite disheartening. It's a little bit...
Okay, forget everything else for a second, because I want to concentrate on this for a moment, because when we spoke before, when you came and we sat and we had an interview before, one of the things that really blew me away was your backstory of how you came to be on OnlyFans, how you came to be doing what you're doing, and how fibromyalgia and inflamed
Yes.
arthritis had really debilitated you.
Yes, that's right.
And what I see is this incredibly beautiful, brave woman, and your size is, quite frankly, nobody else's business.
Yeah, that's very true. I think something that I would like more with social media is I just feel that there's no way for me to really put all of these points across to people in one kind of neat place. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I like, for example, coming on podcasts where I can talk about things and we can go into detail on some different aspects, because, you know, everybody has a story, and your story is who you are, kind of. And I feel like there's not always possibility to do that in like a, 6-second video that goes viral where you're saying, yeah, I'm confident as a big girl, why shouldn't I be, kind of thing. It's just, I think people just think you're being arrogant, and there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence, but then at the same time, life's short, why not kind of live it foot to the full, feeling confident, feeling good about yourself. And it's not about feeling that you're beyond physical improvement. Of course, there's always things that you can change about yourself. And I find it very disingenuous when people say that I'm promoting obesity or promoting an unhealthy lifestyle, because really don't think that I am. I feel that I'm just trying to show that you can live a full and happy, confident life, regardless of whatever stage of your health journey you're at, And I think that message is applicable to anyone of any size as well. We all have times when we feel more or less confident. And I think the main thing is that you should have confidence in who you are as a person, in your values, and that should let you walk through life with an air of confidence, that it's not just about what you present on the outside.
See, you've just described that golden egg that I think every woman aspires to.
Yeah.
That confidence to say, quite frankly, fuck it,
yes,
to everybody else.
Yes, that's right.
Because that is, I think, what we all long for and we all want to achieve.
Yeah.
Now, as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, because I follow a number of women who are saying exactly that on socials. So I'm thinking to myself, are women now, is there a turn of the tide and women are now saying that more? Or have I just got fed up with following the women that don't say it and I've now cancelled them and I only follow the women that do say it? Because we've had this conversation on this show, on the She Word, about being mindful of who you follow. Because what you take in is really what you then digest.
Absolutely.
And it's what goes into your bloodstream.
That's
and if you're
right.
taking on board that we are all being judged, whether we're a size 6, the illusion is that if you're a size 6 and you're got a set of abs, that you're happy with your body.
Yeah.
That's not the case at all.
No, it's not the case. And I think kind of a couple of things that I experienced with my health issues and having to be on different types of medication and being on steroid medication for a very long time. And I kind of ballooned up and had a moon face and had problems with my skin and this and that. And I just really felt, I didn't feel good. I didn't feel like I looked like myself. And I just really didn't feel very good about myself. And I remember there was kind of a point when I went on a girls' holiday. We were in Croatia on one of my friend's hen do's, and I just felt my absolute physical worst. Like I just felt horrible. I felt kind of bloated and like my, I was kind of spotty and just thought, oh God, I really have let myself go here. I felt rough. And I just remember kind of having a moment where I was sitting there and feeling awful and thinking to myself, like you're on holiday with your girlfriends, you're in Croatia, you're never going to be this young again. You just got to let it go. Life's too short. Your mum's sitting there, diagnosed with cancer, out of nowhere. Your life can change in an instant. So suck it up, get out there, have a good time, and just fake it till you make it, you know? And it's just, I think that kind of, it's almost imperceptible, but that kind of shift in your attitude about how you feel about yourself and how you're putting yourself forward to the world as a confident person, it just changes how people look at you as well, I think, and how you look to other people.
What if you could start your journey over? Start here and start again there. That's how life works, in a circular way. We understand the importance of circles, and that's why you are at the heart of ours. Find your way to wellness with Browns.
I'm trying not to get too emotional because you got me choked up there. Because I think what you've just defined is what so many women long for. And having done this show and even having to deal with confidence issues or body images issues myself and so on.
Yes.
You know, none of us are beyond that. And what you just said, you said fake it until you make it. And I think that is one thing that is a life lesson.
Yes.
Because once you go out there and you actually act confident,
yes,
the confidence kind of follows in behind it.
That's right. And that's kind of, I think, really a big part of the message that I'm trying to pass along. You know, I mean, I've had lots of issues with my own body and body image issues and my body changing as I'm getting older and, you know. But it's okay. You know, it's okay. You're within your rights to kind of do what you want to do for improvement if you feel you want to make some changes. But the point is that until you kind of get to that stage, don't say, I'm going to spend the next 6 months, you know, hiding away under my hoodie, not showing my face, not going to events, not living life, because life is damn short. And, you know, I've always kind of, I had that highlighted to me when my mum fell ill kind of out of nowhere. And I think the events of the last year with, you know, my mum passing and then my dad passing so suddenly and unexpectedly after her, it just kind of has highlighted it all for me that, you know, oh, life's too short, like wear the bikini or whatever they say. Do you know what I mean? Just kind of, just live it.
Can we touch on something that you just mentioned?
Yes.
Because I'm really blown away. I was the first time I interviewed you, and I think more so this time. And I'm definitely going to be walking away and having a good old cry in the corner somewhere.
Gosh,
because
probably me too.
Well, that might be a little bit of champagne as well. But you mentioned something about body image, and I have a couple of questions because for anybody who follows you, if you are one of the 281,000 people that follow Emily, you would not for 1 second think that you have a challenge with confidence of your body image.
Okay.
Because you are out there, you're embracing it, you don't hide anything. But that is also in conjunction with OnlyFans. Now, I mentioned before, you shot to fame in 2021. You started in 2019, but you really, in Malta particularly, you really kind of grabbed the nation with this OnlyFans success. Up there in the top 1%. So whilst all of this was happening and you took a social media break, I mean, I'm going to be impertinent and ask you, did you continue with OnlyFans? Because that also must really challenge anybody who has body image issues, or does it?
Yes. I think one thing that I've always found to be quite empowering about my platform on OnlyFans is the fact that it's kind of taking the stereotypical idea of what you would think the media want to see and kind of turning it on its head, because it's kind of like saying, okay, well, I don't look like any of those people, but, you know, there's people who want to see it. So it's kind of interesting. You know, it's sort of that idea of beauty standards and turning that somewhat on its head. And I think throughout my kind of ups and downs in weight and shape and this and that, you know, I've always had lots of very loyal followers and subscribers who I think are appreciative of seeing a woman's natural body. So, you know, the lumps, the bumps.
I love this cheeky smile you're saying when you're saying that. You're like, I'm embracing it.
Well, I just think it's just so interesting because it's everything that we've been taught, that, your cellulite is disgusting, your stretch marks are horrible, and that there's like loads of men out there who are like, hang on a minute, whoever said that I didn't like that, people like there's a, people come in all shapes and sizes, and I think there's some people who really enjoy and admire that kind of body, and also maybe the confidence that comes with it. I think.
Hang on. Before you go any further, I'm going to stop you because you just said something there that just was one of those gold nuggets that when it said, I have to stop, I have to resonate.
Okay, go on.
You said that we had this, women have this challenge with stretch marks, so we hide them from men. But men say, who told you that?
Yeah.
So who tells us that? Because if men don't have a problem,
yeah.
I mean, my husband, bless him, I got married since our last week. My husband loves the bits of me that I don't love.
Yeah, well,
he grabs them and he's like, I love this bit. And I'm like,
it's very interesting. It's very interesting because I get that a lot, a lot of comments from men who say things like that to me, who basically say that, they wish that their wife would follow my page, or they've encouraged their partner or their wife to follow my page because they want her to be confident in herself too, because they think she's great and, that she's maybe on the curvy side, but she doesn't feel so confident, but they want her to be because they love it. So I just think it's what we've been taught by the media, like growing up in the 90s and the noughties, we kind of had this idea that, one particular type of body is what was acceptable. And I think that's something that I feel very strongly about with my page, and why I really would like to push for seeing a little bit of diversity is because representation is important. If little girls grow up seeing that, there's this plus size girl who's got cellulite and stretch marks, but she's not letting it hold her back, and everybody thinks she's great. So why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't I get on the swing in the Maldives or go on the seaplane and travel the world and do this and that and not let it hold me back? So if that's the message that I really want to get across to people, that representation is so important. When I was growing up, I feel that I didn't really have that. It was a newer thing for me once I started getting into Instagram and seeing other curvy girls and thinking to myself, oh, hang on, she looks a little bit like me, or she's a bit similar to me. And again, I think it's really important to say that I'm not here saying that that people should let themselves go, as people like to put it, or not bother with their weight or a healthy lifestyle. Sure, there's struggles, there's ups and downs for all of us, but the point is that your confidence should be within yourself at any of those kinds of stages, and that it should be regardless of what weight you're at, or if you're postpartum. Or
you just said something. Again, you dropped another one of those nuggets.
Okay, go on.
Because you got me thinking when you were talking about media and how media portrays, and in the 80s, 90s, noughties, and to today, that we are being driven. Someone is driving women to follow this perfection, which is unachievable. Which even one of the women that I follow has now mentioned that some of the Instagrammers are now AI. They're not even real. So, I mean, we as women are facing this even more extreme challenge. But as you were talking about that, I always have this kind of thought in my head. Whenever there's something like this arises, I think to myself, follow the money. Who is making money from women being dissatisfied with themselves if men are not saying that?
Wow.
And we know because it's a multi-billion
that's right.
euro, dollar, pound industry to make women unhappy with who they are so they can sell them weight loss, skin toning, cellulite.
Right.
I mean, it's worth billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a deep-rooted and deep-seated kind of issue there for sure.
But someone's making a lot of money out of making women very unhappy.
Yeah, I think so. And I think kind of, sometimes you feel like, again, it kind of goes back to this, let's take her down a peg or two kind of issue, like where is the discomfort that we have with that, with seeing somebody be confident in themselves and not just talking about weight loss and how they need to change themselves and so on. So it's a very nuanced and interesting subject.
Now, we're not going to go into OnlyFans too much,
Okay.
on account of the fact that the last show of season 3 was a show all about adult entertainment, and we've touched on that in that show.
Yes.
But you did mention there about traveling.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that Emily Jones, Miss Jones,
Yes.
has gone beyond just OnlyFans, in that you've gone beyond just representing your body, because you're doing a lot of travel. And you also mentioned probably about 20 minutes ago that you'll have your own business, that you're doing your own thing.
Yes.
So what does Emily Jones do now? And where does the travel? Because I know we mentioned off air, you're very, very passionate about travel.
Yeah, I think so. I think I spent a lot of time feeling that I couldn't kind of spread my wings, and that I had to felt that I had to stay close when my mum wasn't well, and I couldn't really go off and do things because I felt that I had to be with her, and I was nervous that if I went too far that she would take a turn, and
Naturally.
so there definitely, it felt that there was something kind of holding me there, and I don't have any regrets that I did that. I feel from a kind of moral standpoint that my conscience is very clear that I was there for my family in their darkest moments. But now I feel that it's kind of time for me. And time for me to say, listen, I'm young, I'm healthy to a certain extent, and I'm well enough to get out there and see the world, and that's what I want to do. And that's really what my mum and dad both would have wanted. And, my dad really loved to travel, and I think he also felt that he was, because he didn't travel when my mum was unwell, she wasn't well enough to, and he felt he couldn't really go away. I think, he spoke about that a lot, and about their travels together when they were younger. And, well, they travelled all their life. They liked to travel a lot. And I think, he was very encouraging of it. So I kind of feel that I'm somewhat maybe fulfilling that part of his desires for me. And also just, I want to get out there and see the world and do things. And also just, I would really like to be somebody that plus size people can look at and say, okay, if she's doing it, I can do it. To kind of have that confidence, not to be nervous about how things will go. And also, I want to talk about the challenges sometimes that come with traveling as a plus size person, and how you can deal with them, and how to be comfortable and get out there and live your best life. That's what it's all about. And, maybe for some people, travel isn't that. Some people like to be at home, and that's fine. But I think because I'm struggling very much with this sense of home and stability, that I should embrace it. And therefore, I've decided I'm in my travel girl era. So it's going to be hotel reviews.
So you've turned this into a career.
Yeah, sure. That's the path that I'm on at the moment. Yeah.
This is amazing. So let me just kind of backtrack a bit.
Yes.
And put this in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
You worked in the city, you lived in the city, you're doing really well, you got fibromyalgia diagnosed along with inflammatory arthritis, which meant that you couldn't work from home, you end up losing your job, and at the same time your mum becomes unwell.
Yeah.
You come back to Malta, you turn this around to take the opportunity to build an OnlyFans page and an Instagram following of, let's face it, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, which brings you in an income that, quite frankly, and a following that I don't think, I could even dream of, the following that you have, which is phenomenal. You then decide that life has taken a turn that means you need to have a break.
Yes.
And reevaluate everything, which very few people actually do. You basically say, sod the algorithms, I need some time to myself, I need to grieve, I need to be by myself. You come back with a new look and a new approach, and you decide it's time to travel and it's time for me, and you turn that into a career as well.
Yeah, that's kind of a good synopsis, I would say.
I know that there's been a lot of heartache, and there's been real tears and real trauma and heartbreak in your journey. But every time I speak to you, you inspire me because you actually just turn around and say, I am not going to let this beat me and I'm going to beat it. And I think that's where you're inspiring, certainly me.
Thank you.
But I think that's a phenomenal message because you're not just saying it, you're living it.
I hope so. I feel very strongly that that's a message that I would like to put out to other people around the world. I mean, I know that I have had quite a difficult time, but I know that I've also had a lot of blessings and, a lot of kind of luck as well on my side. So I do feel that it's very important to appreciate that and to realize it as well, but I have had certain privileges and I do feel that I try to kind of ride a wave and catch the momentum whilst I can and make the best of things. I do think that that's something that I have kind of learnt to do, and I would like to encourage other people to do the same and, think that things are going to work out for you instead of always thinking, oh, it's my luck, it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out. Try to turn that on its head a little bit. And whilst there's been lots of nasty things that have happened and lots of heartache, there's still good things to come, good things to live for. And, just don't give up. Just don't give up. Don't take it lying down. And if you're not happy with something in your life, kind of do something to change it. Don't think that you're just a product of your circumstance. Sometimes there's things that you can change to make a change, to make your life more what you would want it to be.
Miss Emily Jones, I need more of you on the She Word because you really are an utter inspiration. And I'm going to chin to you with some very nice champagne and say thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we see more of you in 2024?
Yeah, I would love that. I would encourage everybody to follow me on TikTok. I don't have 280,000 followers there. I've got about 700.
Shameless advert there.
But I'm just trying to kind of get into a bit of show a different side of my personality. So if people are interested in that, follow me on TikTok, follow me everywhere. And, there's going to be some exciting adventures to come, I'm sure.
Can't wait to see it.
Yes, thanks.
Here's to you.
Cheers.